Broadcasting live on the UnitedWest.org AM radio network and simulcasting on DirecTV, iHeartRadio, Roku, and the World Wide Web. This is Enemies of the State with Tom Trento.
Shalom, shalom, shalom. If everything is working well in the world today, you should be watching this special. This is a special and a very unique document that we got our hands on. You should be watching this special just about in the middle, toward the end of our excursion over to Israel, our fact-finding mission, our journey to the 4 hot spots in Israel, on the ground with a team of about 30 activists from around the world. Hi, everybody. Tom Trento on this wonderful day, 2015. I can tell you that. It's probably March or April, one of those months, but we have a special edition for you. We wanted to place right in the middle of our trip to Israel. Name of our show, Enemies of the State. We're broadcasting live on WSBR Radio. That's in Boca Raton, 740 on the dial. And over in Tampa Bay, we're now over in Tampa Bay. This is on terrestrial radio. This is on the stuff where you need an antenna to get it. We're on the ground over in Tampa. WHFS Radio 1010.
He didn't screw it up.
On your dial.
He didn't screw up the call letters this time.
Where's that at?
That's somewhere around the neighborhood.
1010 is up.
1010.
Is that in the Tampa Bay area?
The way I like to call it is like this. I do one of these. 1010.
That's up in the Tampa Bay area, right?
Tampa Bay area.
Hey, Tom, did you know that there's a terrorist organization based out of Tampa?
Yeah.
Well, we're in Israel, so there's a few terrorist organizations around us. So it wouldn't surprise me that even in Tampa, there's a terrorist organization.
Yeah.
What would be the name of that organization?
The name of that organization is Council for American Islamic Relations, or Council on American Islamic Relations, the Florida chapter is headed by the cultural terrorist Hassan Shibli.
That's not fair for you to call them terrorists.
All right.
That's right. I mean, I should have left the cultural part out of that. Just stuck with terrorist, like his friend Ahmed Badir up in Tampa.
This drives them crazy, them being the Council on American Islamic Relations.
Especially Nihad Awad,
and the guy down here. The big kahuna in Washington, D.C., or Ahmed Badir, who's no longer formally with them, but our sources tell us that he...
they still work together.
Oh, they still work together.
He runs their operation.
I saw them at Florida Muslim Capital today. Last year, working together quite nicely.
Don't forget, we got to do that too. Remember where we are in our week here. Yes, the sources we have tell us that Ahmed Badir runs Voices for America or something. United Voices. United Voices. Bogus front group, basically, for the Muslim Brotherhood.
Because he is a card-carrying member.
Yeah, that he really is involved very, very deeply in CARE. At least that's what he presents around the country, behind the scenes. But regardless, CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, Nihad Awad, was just awarded about a month ago an award as one of the top civil rights advocates in the country. The Los Angeles Times.
He's just a wonderful person.
Awarded Nihad Awad
he is just a wonderful
an
person.
award. So when we get back from Israel and get settled in back in our studio, we have a new series coming out on CARE, taking a deep look.
Is that the award applause sign there?
Yeah, taking a deep look in there. And I think after the CARE folks, Council on American Islamic Relations.
Let me pull up Nihad Awad for you. Here.
Let me. After the Council on American Islamic Relations folks see our new series, they're going to sound something like this. They're going to sound something like this.
It's a new toy, and
they're going to sound.
He's blowing it.
All right, I think after the folks at CARE in Washington, D.C.
This guy right here,
and in Tampa.
And in Tampa.
Wait, you can't talk at the same time.
Okay.
after they see our new series, I think this is what it's going to sound like in their offices in Washington and Tampa. Yes, that's what it's going to sound like.
That's so bad.
You have to move the microphone to your computer. That's how
bigger boat.
That's how great our system is. You're going to put a microphone on it.
Well, he could give it to me, then I could play it, but then I want to be responsible.
Okay. In any event, special feature for you today. I know you've been seeing shows from the ground, all the places we've been. It's been amazing. But at the heart of this, at the heart of our work in the Middle East is obviously our concern for the Islamic State. We've been reporting back on the Islamic State, on their activity in Iraq, not too far from Israel, in Syria, next door to Israel, going down into the Sinai, right next to Israel. All of this, the Islamic State is a key component of the global jihad movement. We want you to start using that term too. We use that term in the monograph, Secure Freedom Strategy, which is a cohesive and cogent argument that explains how to defeat the global jihad movement, produced by the Center for Security Policy. Again, I'm privileged to be one of the authors with about 15 other people this time. Available on our website, theunitedwest.org. Also available, centerforsecuritypolicy.org. If you go there, you'll see the Secure Freedom Strategy. We address the Islamic State, its advancement, its territorial gains, its lethality, and how it needs to be defeated, not just on the battlefield, but also in the marketplace of ideas. Well, I got to tell you, 12 minutes after the hour here on WSBR Radio and WFS.
WHFS.
Oh, he didn't make it.
I'm testing you guys. I was testing. There's always an H.
Yeah,
W, high frequency signal. WHFS 1010 in Tampa. One of the key ways of beating these guys, the bad guys, is through information warfare and through social media. And these guys have become masters.
Yes,
masters
they have.
at it. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, is I see you back there, Mark. I see David. Is Imam Abdullah around? Is he?
I saw him earlier.
Yeah, well, hold on. He'll be up here in a second, I'm sure. He hears his name. There he is.
There he comes.
Here he is.
There he comes.
Assalamu alaikum, infidels. How are you today?
Assalamu alaikum. You know what? I forgot to tell everybody that the POTUS, President of the United States of America, also watches our show and sent an email to us recently, a video email. And he wanted to just give a little welcome to the guys here, to myself here at Enemies of the State. And here's our president welcoming us right now with a little video.
No, it's not on.
A little video email.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. Play it that way.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
What did he say?
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Oh, okay. Well,
it's about the
whatever.
way,
It's a free country. You can say you can use any greeting you want to greet us. It's a free country, no big deal. 14 minutes after the hour, we're having a wonderful time in Israel, and a wonderful time in the sense of a place you need to visit, a place you need to go to. If you're a Jew or a Christian, your religious roots are inextricably rooted deeply in 4,000 years of history. It took me many years to get to Israel for the same reasons you're not going, either money or fear of some terrorist attack or something like that. You have to push all of that aside, get over the fear factor and go find the money, not that expensive, and get there, and you will want to go back because it's a dichotomous country. You could look at the antiquity of this land and see how you are who you are because of the antiquity of Israel. And then you can look at this land geopolitically and see who you are now and who you need to become to maintain Western civilization's doctrinal base and influence in the world, and how to fight this global jihad movement. So it's a country that's enigmatic. It's a big puzzle, and every time you go there, you turn one of the puzzle pieces over, and the picture gets clearer and clearer and clearer. So you got to get over there. And one of the reasons you got to get over there is Israel is in the sights, the targeting sites of this thing called the Islamic State. So today we're going to bring you Islamic State doctrine, Islamic State material, Islamic State writing.
Very good. Thank you, Trento.
Abdullah, you are going to like this.
I am so happy to hear this. Thank you.
I don't know if you know it, but AQ.
Al-Qaeda?
Yeah, when you're in the know, you can do these little syllables.
Yes, of course.
AQ.
Yes.
If you want to really be cool, AQDC, Al-Qaeda in Washington, D.C.
Right.
Oh, Nihadawad.
AQFL, Al-Qaeda in Florida.
Oh, Hassan Shibli.
Yes, you can do that. You can do
Al-Qaeda
that.
in Iraq. Yeah.
But AQ has their own MAG.
Yes, it is my most favorite of electronic media.
Yes, it's called Blow Me Up Today. But, oh no, that's not the name of it. The name of it is Insight Magazine.
That's right.
And they provide insight into the teachings of the Quran and Allah and all of that.
Right.
Not bad. I mean, we have them all,
That's all
we've
right.
read them. But guess what? There's a new magazine on the block. The Islamic State has come up, Imam Abdullah, with a new magazine called Dabiq.
Oh, yes, they have it. It is
Dabiq,
fantastic.
right here.
Dabiq.
Here's your beak, Dabiq, right
Dabiq,
here.
right there.
Dabiq, meaning the nose.
No.
Oh, what does it mean?
It's the area where Armageddon is going to happen.
Yeah, they have a new magazine, the Islamic State, called Dabiq, and Dabiq is in northwestern Syria, a little tiny city, but its size is deceptive in terms of its importance to Islam, because that is where one of the final battles takes place between the holy warriors of Islam and the Crusaders, made up of the Ummah.
Infidels, Kufar.
Two primary groups, the infidels, the Jews, and Christians. So it's so significant, the concept of Dabiq and the concept of this end times battle, that they named their pretty slick magazine. I got to say, Abdullah,
That's
pretty
pretty
slick
good, pretty
magazine.
good.
Oh, it is fantastic. It is actually better than Insight.
Yeah, there's the cover right there. And they are, right now, as we're at the end of March 2015, they are on edition number 7. And they publish it monthly, bi-monthly. But we are going to bring everyone, our listeners, our viewers, edition number 1, because that's where they lay out the Khalifa, the concept of the Khalifa.
The Caliphate, yes.
Yeah, the Caliphate. And the irony here, and the beauty here, this is about a year old, edition number 1, just about. And you can see how they have progressed from their initial publication to where they are today, the Islamic State. So that's what we're ready to do right now, if everybody's ready to rock and roll.
They're ready to rock and roll, man.
This
Okay.
is so exciting. Thank you, Tom.
Okay.
This is going to be Abdullah's, probably his favorite show of all time.
He's going to become Islamically orgasmic, I think, here,
This is so very exciting.
with the reading of the return. The first edition, 20 minutes after the hour, here on this wonderful day. The title of the book is The Return of the Khalifa. Now, we need to explain to everybody that the caliphate is simply, well, what? You guys tell me what the caliphate is.
It is the caliphate would be a ruling world ummah. It would be the last closest thing would have been the Ottoman Empire. It is ruled by Sharia law, and enforced. The leader would be the Khalifa.
Khalifa. Okay. It's very, very simple, folks. One of the complexities with understanding and dealing with Islam is that it's dualistic, not in its epistemology. It certainly is in that, spirit and flesh, but it's dualistic in its polity, in its governmental polity, which means it has the religious side, but it also has a political side, and not a political side like in Christianity, where there's an obligation to participate in the democratic process. If you live in a democratic country, you're obligated as a Christian to participate because your voice helps construct the way in which people live and the way laws are written. Mm-hmm. You have an obligation to participate in the government. But the Christian scriptures do not teach that you need to establish a Christian government in lieu of a secular government. That's not what Christianity teaches.
That is why it is doomed to failure.
But whenever it's tried that in the past, it has failed miserably when it's mixed together, church and mosque, state and mosque. So conversely, though, the dualistic confusion about Islam is that it's fully, completely, thoroughly a state. So therefore, yes, when Imam Abdullah tells us so accurately that the caliphate, the Khalifa, is the organization of the Ummah, the Muslim family, in a cohesive, social, empirical, real-world state, he means in a cohesive, empirical, real-world state where you have judges and you have courts and you have schools and you have medicine and you have a military and you have all the elements of.
We also have executioners.
Yes.
I think it's 10 to 1, 10 executioners to every citizen in the new Khalifa. But we'll get into that a little bit later.
But also, it's important to note that this is a borderless. That has no borders.
Very good point.
Right. So it can go all over the world. Like, for example, you had Boko Haram pledging allegiance to...
A couple of weeks ago, that's right.
To the Islamic State. So it's not just defined geographically or by areas they conquer. The state can actually go outside the areas, like over into Americas. Anybody who wants to join the Islamic State can be there and join it from afar.
The borders are the entire flat earth.
But yeah, the Boko Haram, Boca reading, haram, unlawful.
Right.
Western education is haram.
Is bad stuff. Boko Haram, a small but very lethal group of Sunni jihadists, pledged their loyalty to the Islamic State a couple of weeks ago, and they control territory. So now the tentacles of the Islamic State go out from Syria and Iraq, where it simply got started, that same area. Now we're going into North Africa, going into Yemen, all over the place. The thing is growing like crazy. But this is, again, the establishment of the caliphate. We're not going to use the word Khalifa, which is more an Arabic transliteration of it. We're going to use caliphate. That's what we use all the time. And the first copy of Dabiq is dedicated to establishing the caliphate. I'm going to read selected portions to give our listeners at WSBR Radio 740 AM out of Boca Raton, Florida at I don't know how many minutes after because the clock disappeared off of my thing here.
It's that old screensaver thing needs to go off.
Oh, okay. At 4:22 in the 4:23. How'd that change so quickly? 4:23 in the afternoon. If you're watching on theunitedwest.org or Tea Party Community, want you to be following barenakedislam.com, great website. Go to our website. We've got a lot of these great things listed. But right now, let's get into the meat of Dabiq. Dabiq for dinner. How about that? Okay. That's the name of the magazine, The Return of the Caliphate, and you guys are going to follow along as I read. Remind me never to do these shows on a half a dozen burritos, okay? That lay in your stomach like concrete. But beside that point, Israeli burritos, nothing better. Okay, we go to the cover, page 1 there. The spark has been lit here in Iraq, and its heat will continue to intensify by Allah's permission, and it burns the Crusaders' armies in Dabiq. Now, If I were producing the show, I would have that picture up there. And look at how good I may be. And I'd have the right page.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
As it's number one.
I just
Number
read the
two.
exact same thing. The spark has been lit here in Iraq, and its heat will continue to
Number two.
intensify.
Page 2 and 3.
All right.
That's what it says on here.
Okay.
Because they're all squashed together. We're looking on different devices at
Devices,
4:26
right.
in the afternoon. But this quote is very important. The spark has been lit here in Iraq, and its heat will continue to intensify by Allah's permission until it burns the Crusaders' armies in Dabiq. Who said that? Well, Abu Musab al-Zakari. Al-Zakari, if you remember, and our regular readers and listeners know who al-Zakari is. He got whacked by our United States forces, 2009, I believe it was. He was the head of the resistance, the Sunni resistance in Iraq against the coalition forces. He's the guy who wore all black. He carried his AK, and he was involved in the beheading of, was it Daniel Pearl?
Daniel Pearl.
Yeah, involved in the beheading of Daniel Pearl. Vicious jihadi, absolute vicious jihadi, but a very intelligent, learned Islamic student / scholar. And he was asked by Ayman al-Zawahiri, number 2 in charge of al-Qaeda under Osama bin Laden. There on the screen you have right now Abu Musa al-Zakari and al-Zawahiri. 2 different names. They all sound alike, I know. But if we can get al-Zawahiri's picture up, the old Egyptian doctor with glasses, number 2 to bin Laden, and al-Zakari's picture up, people can see the 2, and it's a critically important relationship because bin Laden's still alive. He's hiding out in Abbottabad, Pakistan. Al-Zakari, the physician in his 60s from Egypt, he's calling the shots in al-Qaeda, and he asks Abu Musab al-Zakari, he asks al-Zakari, the man in black, he asks him to become the emir of the Muslim world in Iraq. Very important deal. Dabiq, which is laying out the fact that the caliphate is here, they reference the statement made by Zakari back in Iraq as their foundational principle for moving ahead with slicing off the heads of the infidels and for establishing territory and land throughout the Levant right now, further than that. There's a picture of Ayman al-Zawahiri and over against Abu Musab al-Zakari, okay? And don't forget the Haida Salami either, because we have to have all those guys there that Robert De Niro bit on Saturday Night Live. It's hard to get out of your head. But I'm going to read again what Abu Musab al-Zakari said. He said, "The spark has been lit here in Iraq, and its heat will continue to intensify." This is almost like the opening to the Declaration of Independence for American patriots. Young jihadis read this, and they say, the spark was lit in Iraq. Zakari gave his life. It will continue to intensify. It's intensifying. It will ultimately burn the Crusaders' armies in northwestern Syria, in Dabiq. Let's go join! And that's what you see happening. Now, you put this magazine in the hand of a 16-year-old or a 36-year-old who's got a totally wasted, useless life, and sadly, Islam does not offer any existential gratification or satisfaction because it's incoherent in its belief system, and it certainly doesn't offer any joy in life. Why not?
Speak for yourself.
Because everything is worshiping death and worshiping the 72 virgin things is a perfect example. And it's, are you done?
I hear the magazine coming to life.
The whole thing is afterlife. It's all death. It's all martyrdom. It has to be for it to survive.
It's all just negative,
Right.
Do's and don'ts. There's no do's.
There's no thought in Islam. Thou shalt not think. You don't have to think in Islam. That's the whole
It
point.
makes it very simple.
You just do as you are told to do. Do not, vary from the rules, and everything is okay. And the rules happen to be heinous, draconian, and evil.
Now, anybody who's listening is saying, wait a minute, I got Muslim friends and they're the happiest people in the world. Well, they may be happy, but it's not because of Islam. If you're born in Egypt, if you're born in Saudi Arabia, any of the 56 Muslim countries, and you follow Islamic teaching, you are not going to be a happy person. You're going to be a robotic, religiously oriented person, and you're going to be in distinction to the norms of reality. So therefore, when I talk about existential gratification or satisfaction, just resting quietly with yourself and looking at a sunrise or sunset over the ocean, and just go, the world's a good place, and there's bad people in it, but this is pretty good. You can't do that following Islamic doctrine. You do it in contradistinction to Islamic doctrine. Therefore, if you've got these psychologically destabilized young guys and they're completely repressed sexually, which is part of Islam, you've got the makings of a very lethal individual, of a dumb bomb, if you will. And the recruiters for the Islamic State know how to play on these guys. And you put out verses like that, and you make magazines like this. Now, let's take a look at this magazine and put yourself, you're a 21-year-old sexually repressed, psychologically destabilized Muslim who's been told everything you can't do in the world. You're looking for some sort of gratification and recognition of who you are and some purpose in life, and you pick up the magazine Dabiq.
And
watch what happens. What, Mark?
And also, to reiterate that the Dabiq magazine is nothing in there that we have had experts look at, that nothing is against Islamic doctrine the way they're teaching it. They're actually spot on. It's nothing that they're doing, printing or saying it's wrong.
No, it's completely right. Look at the first
There's
picture.
actually an expert that disagrees.
Who's that?
Howard Dean disagrees.
Howard Dean, Dr. Howard Dean, a former governor of Mozambique, or wherever he was the governor?
No. Actually, wasn't he like New Hampshire or Vermont?
Yeah, one of those places. So,
he has a little different opinion about the Islamic State.
Oh, well, let's hear what he has to say, because that's important.
Islamic cult, I think it's a cult. I stopped calling these people Muslim terrorists. They're about as Muslim as I am.
I can't hear it.
Can't hear it.
No.
All right, well, probably the world is better off for not hearing what Howard Dean had to say.
Well, anyway, yeah.
But take a look at the picture on page 2, and on my iPad, it's 2 and 3. The armies, until it burns, the Crusader army. Actually, page 3. See if you can find that, because that's important.
This one right here. This one here.
Yeah. What that says there on the right on your screen, folks, says until the Crusaders' armies, until it burns the Crusaders' armies in Dabiq. So you're a young guy now, and even these women that want to go service these guys, there's a sense of purpose in doing this. You see 3 American soldiers, 2 of them carrying a wounded one. You're happy about that. You've been taught that these soldiers are the invaders. They're the Crusaders. Those soldiers are Jew dogs or Christian dogs. That's who they are. And the graphics here, the soldiers are going into the hellfire. Dabiq, the name of the magazine, is on fire, burning the soldiers. And fire is huge and very important imagery in Islamic eschatology, because one of the don'ts, or one of the consequences of doing a don't in Islam, if you do what you don't, you wind up in the hellfire. And hell there, you burn, all your skin burns off.
Hot oil.
And you're agonizing. And then your skin grows back, and then it burns off again, and this happens for eternity. And if you're raised in this system, and you're taught to believe that, then you're taught that this is what happens. and you want the crusaders to go into the hellfire, not you. So the magazine goes on to say, all praise is due Allah, and may Allah send his blessings and peace upon his messenger. First sentence, the potential recruit to go kinetically jihad, he reads that the praise is due Allah, so this is put in the context of God, Allah, and that Allah will send his blessings, and that this will bring peace to the messenger. So everything he's been taught for these 20, 25 years about God and peace and Muhammad all come together in the first sentence. And that first sentence says, this is good. For you to join the Islamic State and fight to kill Jews and Christians is the best thing you can do. Next sentence. After a review, now the commentator says, after a review of some of the comments received on the first edition of the Islamic State News and Islamic State Report, they did a very simple report before the first edition of the magazine, Dabiq. The reviews were so good that their media school, Al Hayat, they actually have a media school, a media center, decided to carry on with this news report and turn it, inshallah, if Allah wills, into a periodical magazine focusing on the issues of tawhid, of commitment, of hijrah, of leaving your country and going to fight with the Islamic State, of jihad, of fighting the West, all these Islamic concepts. It will also contain photos, reports, current events, and informative articles on matters related to the Islamic State. May Allah bless this effort and make it a beacon for generations to come. So that's what the intent of the magazine is. What is your thought so far, gentlemen, on the opening of what these guys know is going to be a very significant magazine to Muslim people worldwide?
There's absolutely no question that this is what their mission is, what their stated purpose. Like any business or organization or state, boom, come right out and say exactly what you want, who you are, what you are, to take the narrative.
What do you think? Let's use our buddy Nihad Awad, the executive director of CARE, Washington, D.C. He went out in a press conference about 6 months ago with about 100 other people, whatever, and they condemned the Islamic State, and they offered up all this.
They didn't condemn it. They just said that they do not have the right to take it over as and call it Islamic. And actually, according to Scripture, they have every right to take it over, and that's how is the strong horse, weak horse. The strong horse prevails in Islam, and every time any type of Islamic rule is ever taken over anywhere, it's been the stronger one. That's the reason they're afraid. That's the reason CARE is afraid, because they see Islamic State. People are flocking thousands and thousands to the Islamic State, and CARE is losing people.
Well, I think CARE has a problem with it because Islamic State is absolutely everything CARE is trying to tell the American people Islam isn't.
It doesn't do that, right?
It doesn't really bode well for Nihad Awad and Honest Abe Hooper up there to say how peaceful Islam is as bodies pile up by the 100 and the 1,000.
See if you could find, Seb Gorka did a great article in Breitbart. I sent it to you. And it's comparing the Islamic State, the administration's support for the for Iran, and how that's causing an acceleration in the Islamic State's quest for the caliphate and the Iran's quest for their Ayatollah mate, their imam mate. But in that article, there's a great graphic that shows where the jihadis are coming from worldwide. We can put that up, and it illustrates what this magazine is actually doing. My question was this: what do you think Nihad and the folks that CARE, what can they say to this opening that, forget about press conferences condemning and whatever they did, how could they critique this opening? Are they in agreement or disagreement with the way this is opening, that there needs to be a caliphate and that it will bless Islam and bless Allah?
They have to lie about it. They have to lie about it because these guys are telling the truth. They're bringing Islam to the world the way it was practiced under Muhammad. That is, they believe, is their stated mission. And that CARE, looks at that and says, no, we can't have that as Islam's face. I'm sorry, that's just what it is. CARE's trying to paint this gloss over Islam, and it's. It
would be great to ask the folks at CARE, do you believe, you've rejected the Islamic State as the progenitor of the caliphate,
right?
But do you believe in a caliphate? And do you believe that it is something taught in the Quran, something for Muslims, and something the world would be better having? That would be a great question, What do you think CARE's answer? All the Muslim Brotherhood groups. What do you think their answer? ISNA, ICNA, all these.
Well, they all want a worldwide. Whether they say it or not, they all do want it. I mean,
we got to get them around.
It's 100% part of the Quran. There's no doubt about it.
A lot of them have been caught on tape calling for it, and then when they've been called out by counter jihadists that say, they say, it was out of context. It was years ago. It was this. It was that. We have all of these Muslim leaders on tape calling for either a global caliphate or for Sharia Islamia to take over the U.S. Constitution. We could pull a dozen of them up, and these guys are still considered leaders of the United States Muslim community.
We got to smoke them out. We got to get these guys to accept or reject the teaching of the Quran regarding the caliphate. Very simple question. Does your Quran teach the need for a caliphate today worldwide?
Yes or no?
Simple,
And the thing about it is, when we were talking about this, I got 8, 9, 10 years ago, whatever it was, Tom, when we kept trying to say, about the caliphate, people called us crazy, wacko, put on our tin hats. That'll never happen. You'll never see an Islamic State. It's just not possible. The military is too strong, or this, or it's not doctrine. Nobody wants this. Nobody cares to have an Islamic caliphate. What's a caliphate? The whole argument we had for years.
Crazy stuff. Yeah.
And now, what do we have now? Islamic State, and it's caliphate, Khalifa. They talk about the rise of the Khalifa in the very first issue of the magazine.
Proves that a broken clock is twice right a day.
Yes.
Right?
We have that map from Gorka's article.
Put that up. Now, what we're talking about today, folks, at 42 minutes WSBR Radio, 740 a.m. on your dial, Tom Trento, 1010 out of Tampa Bay. There it is. We're talking about the magazine, the Dabiq, that is being used to promote the Islamic State and to draw recruits from around the world. Damon, explain the graphic that's up there now to our radio listening audience.
This is a map.
Probably should have it
with Syria and at the center, and it's showing the flow of fighters into the area controlled by the Islamic State.
What are the numbers? Are they the bodies that they've confirmed bodies that have come in there? Is that what those numbers are?
Yes, the number of people, yes.
The flow of fighters coming in, and they're coming from all over the world. For the radio audience, I mean, we have 2,500 from Saudi Arabia, 300 from China, 1,500 from Russia, 180 from Sweden, 600 from Germany, 100 from Spain, 130 from the U.S., 1,500 from Morocco, which is a Muslim country, but it's pretty far. It's not right next door. Italy, 80. Your people, Tom.
Yay.
France, 1,200. Belgium, 440. Belgium's a small country.
The Italian guys are setting up pizza shops there.
They thought they was going for Italian ISIS, T.
That's right. They thought it was Italian ISIS. They got mixed up with this ISIS stuff here.
So you got to figure at a 80-40 they were an accident.
But this is the beginning. This is the first year, believe it or not, of the Islamic State.
Yeah, God, it seems
so
like...
these numbers are going to multiply. And
this is what CARE's afraid of. This is what CARE's afraid of, is that because right now CARE is in a power struggle with a milestone message, if you will. This has been the conflict between the people who say, and when I talk about milestones, I'm talking about what happened to that graphic. Yeah, there it was. You had the right graphic up. But Yeah, Care, this guy here, you know, Nihad Iwad, he's in direct competition, if we will, not different ideological, you know, in result, but different methodologies. He's in a earlier milestone approach where it says you must coerce and trick the enemy over to your side, but the end goal is the Islamic State. That is the end goal, and everybody's, you know, tired of waiting throughout the Islamic world. They want the Islamic State
now,
and that's the reason everybody's flocking down there to it.
All right, and here's a theology that's articulated right on page 4 and 5 in Dabiq. We're going back down there now. We have this conflict going on with the traditional Muslim Brotherhood organizations here in the United States, like CARE, who's trying to do this through their wily, coy, negotiating.
They're spies.
You know, Armani suits, their spies, basically.
Armani jihadis.
Yeah, Armani jihadis. And the boy in that picture right there on page 5 of Dabiq, who's probably 22 years old, got his headgear on, carrying his AK, carrying his bombs, carrying everything, and on the front line working to bring the Islamic State in, not to fight for some phony baloney Muslim rights about a woman who had to change her hijab because it didn't fit at work. Woo, that's really scary work you're doing, CARE. Yeah. You know, these guys are on the front lines giving their life and their blood fighting for Islam, and you're in a $500,000 a year paid job with limo drivers and all of that. That's scary Muslim stuff you're doing, man. Unbelievable.
And also, you look over in the Gaza area, you have people becoming billionaires off this industry, and people are tired of it. People are sick and tired of these people profiteering, like Nihad Iwad and all these other driving, like you said, driving around in all these expensive cars, and they're saying, "Where's mine?" Well, these guys here that in the Dabiq go down there and they get part of the booty and the spoils.
Yep.
I mean, they take it over oil fields. How do you think they're able to produce, you know, such a high quality magazine? They have got
a lot of scratch.
Hey, did you guys see that there was an article where you see how they're destroying all these museums and churches and
the
stuff?
Islamic State is destroying
Islamic
the
State has been taking some of the artifacts from these museums and churches and selling them on eBay.
No, really?
Yes.
That's funny. Put them in the hands of the infidel. Get the infidel money. That's like selling drugs. They do that too. What is limousine liberals? Is that what you call them? Limousine liberals? We got to come up with a name for Nihad and the boys. They
Armani jihadis.
Well, Armani jihadis is very, very good. Yeah. Armani jihadis is very good because they're telling everybody they're doing Allah's work, when in fact it's a sissified Islam compared to the folks at Dabiq.
Look, Dabiq is out there. They're declaring
it's a girly Islam.
You look at Dabiq and they're declaring the caliphate.
You know, to take a word from our dear leader, you know how he referred to Islamic State as JV, junior varsity, last year. CARE is junior varsity compared to Islamic State.
From the Islamic State's point of view, CARE is probably the enemy. But let's say they don't go that far and call them the enemy. They're what's below the JV, the freshman team. They're the freshmen, freshman players. But they got to look at them with disdain. Like, give me a break. I
tell you what, Osama bin Laden dreamed of a day where he could call a caliphate.
Yep.
And he hasn't, and he didn't, and that's the whole point is getting to the Islamic State.
Well, let me get to that page.
Just one last thing. I want to go over the current Khalifa of the Islamic State is a former card-carrying member of the Muslim Brotherhood.
Yeah, it's
of which CARE is also a subset of the Muslim Brotherhood.
Well,
Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi was with Musab al-Zakari in Iraq, trained under him basically, got his bona fides, Islamic bona fides, through Islamic studies in Iraq by going to school, got a PhD, and was involved in warfare, all of that. And as we work through this series looking at Dabiq, we will highlight Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, who is now called Caliph Ibrahim. That's his picture right there. I watched again his sermon, which initiated the start of the Islamic State back in June of 2014. And we're going to show you some interesting stuff with the calendar. The calendar for Islam is only, right now it's the year 1436 AH, or just H. Damon, write down 1436. That's the year. And the H, I'll write it right here, 1436H.
Yep.
I usually have something up here. 1436H.
Yes.
That's what year it is for Islam, right here. Anybody know what the H means?
No.
The H is for the Hijra.
Oh, the Hijra. Okay.
When Muhammad found Jesus, is that how it worked? No, when Muhammad found himself in 570, in 610, when he was 40 years old, he went through all the Gabriel stuff, all of that, and started Islam. He did that for 12 years till 622. And then he tried to, in Mecca where he was, get people to follow him. They kept punching him out. They kept punching him out. So in 622, he goes on the Hijra. What was the Hijra? He goes from Mecca to Medina. He leaves Mecca and he says, okay, I'm going to someplace where they'll listen to me. And he goes down to Medina, and that's where he switches from the peaceful gospel, the peaceful messages, to, you want to mess with me now? I'm going to get an army, I'm going to kill everybody, and that's how we'll do this Islam thing. That was 622. Well, when do you start? The cartographers and the calendar makers had a hard time figuring out, when do we start the calendar for Islam? When would you start it? The Christian calendar starts at the birth of Jesus.
Right.
0, year 1, whatever. When do you start the Islamic calendar? The birth of Muhammad.
No,
The first meeting with the angel Gabriel. When do you do it? Well, what they did is they said the real start of Islam, because all that stuff from 610 to 622, those 12 years in Mecca, they didn't go too well. So we're not going to start there. We'll start when he started kicking ass in Medina, 622. That's the beginning of the calendar year, and Muslim calendars will have, it's 1436 right now, there'll be a little H next to it for the Hijra. That's how they do the AD thing, or Common Era. Damon, could you add 622, right? 622 and 1436. Let me see what you come up with.
2058.
And what year are we in now?
2015.
Okay, so Muslims, somebody help us understand how, if you have...
Oh, because they're the moon gods.
If it's your year 1436 and start it in 622.
Well, it's because of the moon worship cycle. What they do, their months are 29 and a half days. And so they get more years every year over time because they're completely determine all their celestial all their clocks.
It's a lunar calendar?
So how do you know how old you are?
Well, and that's the reason every year
Ramadan
never falls on the same day every year, because they do not believe in the 365-day calendar. They completely blow that off and say that is not how Muhammad taught it. That is not how Muhammad let you know about it. So every calendar is done on that lunar moon cycle, coming straight from Muhammad, who was a moon god worshiper.
Well, I'd rather just tell our Muslim brothers and sisters it's 2058 in your world. How about that? It's 2058 right now.
Yeah, because they're
we are so ahead of our time.
Yes, I know. Let's go to page 4 of Dabiq. There's only 26 pages, folks, and 6 minutes left to do it all, so no big deal. There's 7 editions to this. What we're going to do is every so often we're going to lay out some of this material. You need to read it. You need to, when we talk about knowing the enemy, this is the kind of material you need to read, the stuff they're reading. Allah bless this effort and make it a beacon for generations to come, this effort called Dabiq. Now, As for the name of the magazine, I'm reading their own writing. Then it is taken from the area named Dabiq, map, Dabiq in the northern countryside of Aleppo in Sham. You'll see in their own indigenous writings here, they refer obviously to various places by what they know it as. Sham is Syria. Aleppo is the Halab area. We know Aleppo area. In fact,
there it is.
There's Dabiq on the map right now for those of you watching on theunitedwest.org. For those of you listening on SBR
740 in Boca Raton. And 1010 WHFS in terrorist Tampa Bay.
That want to cover us. I'll be dead if we get 20 radio stations that want to cover us. I'll be dead.
We'll just listen for you.
The name of the magazine is then taken from the area named Dabiq in northern countryside of Aleppo and Sham. This place was mentioned in a hadith. That's how important the hadiths are. Hadith is a companion document to the Quran. In a hadith describing some of the events in Malahim. Malahim in Arabic is what we refer to as Christians as Armageddon in English. One of the greatest battles between Muslims and the Crusaders. Crusaders, whenever you hear that, Jews and Christians, not just Christian Crusaders in the Middle Ages. The Jews are viewed by Muslims as Crusaders. The hour, now this is some of the teaching. Now, what these guys do is they give you a historical reference point, a geographical reference point, Dabiq, and now they give you the theological I'm at 456.
Okay.
Yeah. They give you, this clock didn't change or anything. It is the new clock.
Okay, just
I got it. 456 and a half, 456 and 40 seconds. They give you the theological underpinning. The hour will not be established until the Romans land at Dabiq in the northern countryside of Aleppo. Then an army from the Muslims, the best people on earth at that time, will leave for them. Got to be a showdown. When they line up in the ranks, the Romans, representing the Crusaders, will say, "Leave us and those who were taken as prisoners from amongst us so we can fight them." The Muslims will say, "No, no, no, by Allah, we will not abandon our brothers to you." So the fight breaks out in Dabiq at some point.
Takbir!
And
then 1/3 of them will flee. Allah will never forgive them. 1/3 of the Muslims skedaddle. 1/3 will be killed, and they will be the best martyrs with Allah. So you're 20-year-old, you're reading this. I would not flee. I'd rather be killed. But then look at the next third. And 1/3 will conquer them. They will never be afflicted with the fitna, the discord. Then they will conquer Constantinople. So not only will they win in Dabiq, they're going to go over to Greece and battle in Greece and Turkey and all these other places. While they're dividing their war booty, you get free stuff, guys. They hung their swords on olive trees. Great imagery there, peace and fighting. And Satan will shout, "The false Messiah has followed after your families," so they will leave, and Satan's claim is false. When they arrive at Sham, he comes out. They're preparing for battle, filling their ranks, and then the gigantic battle takes place, and we'll tell you more about it. We'll tell you more about it next time we pick up the story here, but they're referencing the theology that underscores the name Dabiq. You're a 25-year-old guy who's got a useless life and you want to do something for Allah. You answer the hijra, the call to leave your country. We'll show you that other graphic. You jump on one of these arrows that flies through the air and takes you right into Syria to fight. What higher calling could there be for a young jihadi, man?
Nothing. It is so good. It is religiously justified murder, mayhem, rape, and pillage, all with the stamp of Allah.
Do you know how hard it would be to recruit people to go fight? You got a guy working in, I don't know, Abdullah, we got just a few seconds left. Are there like Taco Bells in Muslim countries?
No, there are no Taco Bells.
Right,
we have Camel Bells.
Falafel Bells. Okay,
Camel
Falafel Bells. You're flipping falafels, and the next, you could have an AK in your hand and killing crusaders. What are you going to do? Well, Dabiq, folks, that's our first play on the magazine. We're going to work our way through it. You're going to see amazing stuff. And right now we're in the middle of Israel. Stay tuned for more great reporting from Israel. See you now.